What's up, everyone? The market blasted to the upside today as the Feds increased the Fed funds rate by 75 basis points. Looking at the heat map today, stocks all across the board just exploded. Whether you're looking at Google up almost 8%, or Microsoft up 7%, or Nvidia up 8%. Basically, all stocks just exploded today, and it was awesome to see. And while this is great, we're not fully in the clear yet, as we have a gigantic economic data point set to release tomorrow morning. In this video, we're going to talk about everything you need to know heading into tomorrow and some great stocks for the rest of the week. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into today's video.
Yeah, Mike. And today we obviously had that huge event come out with the Fed. So obviously they came out with that interest rate decision. Like you said, they raised rates by 75 basis points for the second consecutive time, which is pretty important. You know, they honestly said last time that 75 basis points was quite a bit. So for them to do it again kind of shows how much they really want inflation to come down right now. And honestly, Mike, Powell just kind of reiterated everything that he's been saying over the past few FOMC press conferences as well. He pretty much just said that they're trying to restore price stability and that pretty much they're trying to bring inflation back down towards their 2% goal. So obviously they're going to keep raising rates until they start to see some effects with the inflation rate, of course. So they're going to keep doing this over the next few meetings. It might not be 75 basis points every time, but nonetheless, until they start seeing that inflation come down, they did reiterate they were still going to be looking at using as many tools as they could to kind of bring that down. But it's pretty good, Mike. Overall, the market actually liked this news and the SPY exploded up, especially at the end of the day there. You can see we really started breaking out above 397 and now we're closing up above $400 on the SPY today. So really huge moves. $400 is going to be a key level. Hopefully we can hold this tomorrow, but hey, I'll take the great movement. Just look at that heat map. I mean, these tech stocks are really flying up and hey, it really helped the portfolio today. That's for sure.
There we go. So basically the Federal Reserve right now is just trying to balance, lowering and calming down inflation without totally crashing the economy. So by raising rates slowly, they're just trying to, get inflation under control without crashing the economy. And the market is pretty confident in that, I guess you can say, process as of right now, just like Tom pointed out. But Tom, looking at some of the, big stocks today, we have Meta, which just reported earnings, and they're all over the place in after hours.
Yeah, they are. They really flew down at first. Now they're coming back up. It kind of reminds me of Microsoft from yesterday. I know we talked about that a little bit before the video started here, but it is a pretty good comparison because you can see in the beginning, Microsoft really fell off. Then they started slowly coming back up and actually ended up pretty high today, Mike. I could not believe that they ended up closing up around 268. That ended up being a 6.69% move to the upside. And looking at Meta today, it's in one of those weird setups. Hopefully, you can start to post some more green movement and start to come back up. But overall, their earnings were actually fairly good, Mike. So they did miss on EPS and they did miss on revenue. But in the end, it was kind of like right around that expectation, just like what we saw with Microsoft and Google. Both of those companies also missed on EPS and revenue, but just very slightly, just like what we're seeing here. I will say, though, Meta does have some issues. They did report that there's been some issues in advertising revenue, just like Microsoft said yesterday as well. Microsoft actually said that they resulted in more than $100 million loss from that. And then obviously Google said that YouTube's growth was slowing down too. So Meta's seeing some growth slow down, Mike, and it's obviously not good. But I will say, hopefully they can end up like Microsoft. Maybe we'll see something better come out of their conference call and maybe their outlook might start to get a little bit better over the next few quarters. But as of right now, they're still kind of, a little bit lackluster, especially with that ad revenue.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Meta is formerly known as Facebook. Obviously, they own a couple pretty big apps and companies, to say the least. But like Tom said, at the end of the day, they did come in lower than expectations, but it wasn't a bad earnings report by any means. One thing to keep in mind with Meta is that they are investing big time into the metaverse. So they're, investing a ton of money, especially into virtual reality and just everything to do with the metaverse. So that will probably they probably won't see a real return on that investment for years to come. But overall, Meta is a stock that I own for the long term. I am pretty bullish on Meta for the long term. They're a powerhouse company. They're trading at a pretty great valuation, in my opinion. You know, right now the stock is right around $165 or so. And, you know, just a couple months ago, this stock was trading for around $384.
Yeah, it was. That's actually a huge discount right now, Mike. And I cannot believe that on Meta's past earnings reports, how big some of those drops were. Like we saw some pretty big sell-offs come in on those past couple reports there. So hopefully we can continue to see some nice upwards movement. There's definitely a bit of support down here on Meta, somewhere around 155 to 160. There's been a lot of supports posted there. So hopefully we continue up with this nice movement. One thing I did see in Meta's article here was that they did say that Instagram is coming under increased pressure from TikTok, which is interesting. I've actually been hearing about this over the past few months or so. And they said that Meta has responded by pushing their Instagram Reels feature with which algorithmically surfaces short videos to users. So TikTok, they pretty much have a bunch of small videos that are anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds long, sometimes even shorter. And Meta's now starting to push those too. So I wonder if that's going to help Meta maybe over the next few quarters, if maybe those Instagram Reels gain popularity.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, Meta is a pretty solid company. Fundamentally speaking, they're pretty strong as well. You know, they are trading at a price to sales ratio of 3.84 or so. PE ratio just under 14. They're in some pretty great industries. Their gross margins are around 81%, net margins around 30% or so. So I'm pretty bullish on them for the long term. Short term, though, earnings are always 50-50, and it looks like they're not really moving too much in the after hours.
Yeah, so far, not really anything crazy to look at, but hopefully tomorrow they can open up a little bit better. Looking at some of the other earnings coming up, though, Mike, we did have Ford actually report tonight along with Qualcomm. Let's go check out some of them because I know Ford was actually doing very well. Looks like Qualcomm is actually selling off with some of those other tech stocks there tonight. But nonetheless, Ford actually reported really good numbers, Mike. You can see they actually beat on earnings and revenue as operating income surges. Now, they're comparing a lot of numbers to obviously the numbers of last year whenever there was those huge semiconductor shortages and stuff. So obviously some of these numbers are going to look a little bit inflated, guys, but nonetheless, their net income was up over 100 million versus the second quarter of last year. So that was great. And then they beat expectation on EPS and their automotive revenue. So sounds like Ford is doing pretty good right now. I know that recently Ford has also taken a big dip, just like Meta and a few of those other stocks have too. So it's always good to see them recovering.
Right, there we go. So, Tom, heading into tomorrow, what do we have on the earnings calendar?
Yeah, so for earnings tomorrow, it's going to be another huge day, kind of like last night. So we're going to see Apple and Amazon report tomorrow after the market closes. And it's actually not just them. We're actually going to have Roku and Intel and US Steel as well. So even some more pretty big companies coming in there too. But Apple and Amazon are going to be very influential. Amazon has been all over the place lately with all the other retail stocks. Apple obviously has been kind of following Microsoft's movement the past couple days. So we're going to have to see how they'll end up reporting. Hopefully they have some good iPhone sales and those numbers are still holding up well. I know obviously people talk about consumer spending changing lately, but we haven't really seen that. I know Amazon Prime Day, Mike, they reported they sold like 300 million products, which was like up from 250 million products a year ago. So seems like consumer spending is still okay, at least for some of these companies.
Yep. All right. And then heading into tomorrow, Tom, it's the big day with Q2 GDP set to release 1 hour before market open. I saw some institutions are expecting this GDP to be slightly positive, as we can see on the trading economics calendar right now, where we have other institutions expecting a negative reading. So this data is very, very important, guys. Basically, if the GDP comes in negative tomorrow, technically we are in a recession. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. And we can see that on the Investopedia article right here, they actually say that one of the popular rules of thumb is that 2 consecutive quarters of decline in a country's GDP constitutes a recession. So keep that in mind, guys. That will be the technical reading if that does come in negative. So it'll be a pretty bad headline, Mike, to say that we are in a recession. I know that we obviously were in a recession in 2020 during COVID, and then the last one was 2008. So obviously that's a pretty big thing if that does happen. And I will say, with inflation running as rampant as it has been, it's not too surprising to see that we might fall into one. Whenever you have inflation flying up like it is to 8% plus, I mean, you have to expect some type of give in the economy.
Yep, it's it's a crazy economy right now. So, guys, pay attention. 1 hour before market open, you will see the GDP data basically on every financial news site. So keep that on your watch list. But Tom, I think it's now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Spotify to the upside.
Yeah, Spotify, go ahead and make them break out above 118, which was a pretty big intraday resistance.
Alrighty. With the next one, we have SQ also to the upside.
Yeah, Square. Now, this one had a really nice move, almost up 10% today. Go ahead and make them break above 73.
All right. And with the last one, we have GLD also to the upside.
Gold. Yeah, go ahead and make them break above 162.20. And Mike, I know that bot was on fire earlier.
Let's go. So we are watching GLD, SQ, and Spotify for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But Tom, let's showcase that bot play today. So guys, if you are looking to take advantage of the volatility we are currently seeing in the market, pay attention to this. Our bot today called out the GLD 160 strike calls at $120 each. By the end of the day, they ran all the way up to highs of $249 each. Every single day, our bot calls out a day trade. Of course, they don't always explode like this, but the bot has done very, very, very well, especially over the past couple months, and it just gets smarter with time. If you do decide to sign up, not only do you get access to our bot, but you also get access to bonus setups from Tom, swing trades from the both of us, access to a private community. You can cancel at any time, and if you use coupon code 2022, you'll save around $41 off your first month. So if you want to try it out, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. It's an awesome tool, and you won't find it anywhere else, and it's perfect for this market volatility. With that being said, Tom, do you have anything else you're watching heading into the big day tomorrow?
Yeah, it's going to be a big day, especially for the SPY in the overall market. Like I said earlier, that $400 level on the SPY is going to be pretty important tomorrow. Hopefully we can continue to hold above this heading up into that event. Like we talked about, the event's going to happen 1 hour before market opens with that GDP data. So definitely be ready. I'm sure that we're going to wake up to some pretty volatile price action early on in the morning. I'll have to definitely make a big cup of coffee tomorrow because it's going to be a crazy day. So just be on the lookout, guys. You might want to maybe look at some stocks like GLD or like some hedge plays. Those can usually do pretty good. I was actually really surprised to see gold, Mike, running up as much as it was today. Made me really happy to see it finally recovering up like this. And who knows, maybe we'll get back up to 170 or 180 over the next few weeks. And with inflation staying higher, I would think that there'd be a pretty good chance gold could keep going.
Yep, you know it. Guys, don't forget to check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Coupon code 2022 will save you around $41, and our bot has been perfect for this market environment. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have an amazing end to the week.